What's up, everybody? We're back in the kitchen today. We're gonna make ourselves a sugar-free, low-calorie syrup because I recently read that the syrup I was using had aspartame in it, and I do not like to ingest aspartame. So I found a recipe online to make my own replacement syrup. So the ingredients are xylitol, which is a natural sweetener, less calories than sugar. It's not too bad. Glucomannan, which is more of a thickening agent. We got our maple flavor, vanilla extract, and caramel extract. Right now we got the water coming to a boil. Once the water comes to a boil, we'll add a half a cup of the xylitol, and we'll stir that for about 2 minutes so that everything's all dissolved, and let that boil for 2 minutes, and then we'll be back and I'll add everything else. Alright, now we're going to let that boil for 2 minutes. We just added the xylitol. I just figured while that was going I could give you some interesting information about glucomannan. I'm doing research on it. If you've ever heard those stupid ads for skinny fiber, that's actually the main ingredient in skinny fiber. So maybe it'll help me lose more weight, I guess. Alright, so it's been 2 minutes. We're going to remove it from the heat, and now we're going to add our glucomannan. I generally start out by adding a half teaspoon. Depending on how much water you use will depend on how much you need to use. But I like to start out kind of on the lower end, just because the first time I made it I added way too much and it became very thick. It was almost like a jelly. So we'll add in a half now, stir it up. I should have spread it out a little more because it all clumped up. We're going to actually use a better mixing device, a whisk, because that is what it is intended to do. Tip: add it in slowly and stir it. Don't just drop it all in because it clumps up and now it does not want to stir and mix. So if any of you have advice on how to break apart things when you're trying to stir it, let me know. Comment down below. It ought to be close enough. It's still not that thick, so I'm going to add about a 1/4 teaspoon. This time we're going to spread it out. There we go. Now it's not all clumped together. So I don't like it super watery, but at the same time I don't want to make it as thick as I made it the first time when it was basically jelly. I had to add about 2 cups of water, and even then it was still really thick. We'll say that that's good enough for now. Now we'll start adding in our flavoring. I like to add 2 teaspoons of the maple flavor, just because I like the maple taste. Once again, don't just drop it all into one place, kind of spread it out. And we'll add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and then 1 teaspoon of the caramel. That was actually a recent addition, and I actually really enjoy it. It gives it a really good flavor. And we'll just mix all that up. The end result looks a lot like maple syrup to me. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to let it cool down, and then I'll put it into the container that I use to store it. So I will be back. Alright, so I'm pretty sure that it's cooled down enough. I'm going to put this into the bottle that I normally use. Want to get a fork because I never got one of the chunks of glucomannan to break up. I don't want it to fall in. It's a pretty big chunk. And there you have it, my homemade maple syrup. Well, kind of homemade maple syrup. One thing that I found out about this is if you leave it out at room temperature, the glucomannan after about a week will start to break apart and it'll become very watery. So what I have to do now is I have to put it in the fridge, and what I'll do is I'll put it onto my pancakes before I put them into the microwave to reheat them, and that way it warms it back up, and I'm not putting cold syrup onto my pancake. And so yeah, give it a try if you're looking for a lower calorie syrup. That's not terribly bad for you. It doesn't have aspartame. Yes, it still has an artificial sweetener, but it doesn't have nearly as many side effects as aspartame or some of the other sugar alcohol substitutes that you can use. And it's pretty simple to make. It took maybe all of like 10 minutes, if that. Most time was just mixing it up and letting it cool down so that I could bottle it. But yeah, give it a try and let me know what you think.